Good morning. Are you ready to shine, or are you just gonna wait in line? Welcome back to week 11 of season 5 of our 15-second quote series. This week, we are going to talk about memorization, specifically what we can do when reciting a speech or a quote, in this case, that we haven't memorized. While it's always in our best interest to be well prepared when giving a speech, sometimes we have to present quicker than anticipated. Sometimes we haven't memorized new edits, or we've been asked to do a cold reading class. Today, we're going to explore some tips that can help with situations like these. But first, let's talk about the person who said today's quote, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Adichie is a Nigerian author whose work reflects on the Biafran War in Nigeria during the later half of the 1960s. She was born a natural reader and writer, and she spent part of her life in both Nigeria and in the United States, where she actually studied communication and political science and later completed her master's at Johns Hopkins, eventually even getting a degree in African history at Yale University. She is a true scholar and artist. Her novel Purple Hibiscus received the Commonwealth Writers' Prize for Best First Book in 2005. She received the MacArthur Foundation Fellowship in 2008 and is a featured TEDx speaker whose speech in 2012 was featured in Beyonce's song Flawless in 2013. I came to learn of her work while reading a feminist manifesto and 15 suggestions this past year. I was so moved by her words that I wanted to make sure we featured some of them this season. In this quote, Adichie discusses the importance of being curious and seeking information with open ears and good intentions. If you don't understand, ask questions. If you're uncomfortable about asking questions, say you are uncomfortable about asking questions, and then ask anyway. It's easy to tell when a question is coming from a good place. Then listen some more. Today, we are going to explore 2 tips I use when I'm not as familiar with a speech as I would like to be. For starters, I recommend always having a paper copy of your speech with you, even if you are fully memorized. This way, you can catch your place if you ever find yourself off track. I recommend having your paper copy double-spaced. It's easier for our eyes to track text that has appropriate space between each line. Next, make sure when giving a speech and using a script to keep the script below your chest and away from your face. We never want to cover our face. If we do, the audience will lose our facial expressions, eye contact, and connection. My second tip is to always memorize the first line. For example, in this quote, we are going to memorize the words, "If you don't understand, ask questions." It is simple and short enough to fully memorize and allows us to use eye contact with our audience upon first impression. Then, with each new sentence, we will look to our script for the first couple of words in each sentence, making sure we have them in our minds before we begin speaking. For example, I am looking down at my script and reading silently to myself the first few words of the second sentence. When I have them, I will look to my audience, use strong eye contact, and recite them. Using my pointer finger, I will keep track of where I am with the quote so that I can pick up where I left off, trying to use eye contact at the beginning and end of my sentences so that I keep connection with my audience and show confidence. Utilize these tips when you need help in a pinch. Memorization is always the goal, and sometimes it isn't possible. That doesn't mean we compromise the other important skills we've learned in public speaking thus far. Learning how to work with material we are less familiar with, rather than against and in fear, will create even more strength in your public speaking. I hope that little tip was helpful. Definitely send some mini hearts. Share with your family and friends. Coach Shannon is signing out. See you next week.